If you're going to participate in this week's theme, you're going to have to get physical. You can fish inshore on the flats, bays, and estuaries, or go offshore for mahis, tuna, sailfish, and more. Tonight, we're going paddling here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Hello and welcome back to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. Rick, I cannot believe we are already soaring into June, and you know what? I'm pretty excited about it. June means great summer fishing, you know, lobster season's coming up, scallop season, and what else? Oh, of course, it's this guy's birthday.
My birthday.
Your birthday. Happy birthday, Rick.
Thanks, Brie.
It's a good time in your life right now.
It is. You know why it's so cool?
Why?
Because in the Murphy household, about 3 years ago, we decided we used to celebrate the birthday for the whole month.
Oh, lucky
So
Kathy.
I got 30 days of presents
30 days of Rick.
Spoil me.
Yay. All right, Rick.
How about it, Dave?
Time to spoil. All right, Rick. Well, today we're talking about fishing from anything with a paddle, which from experience can be very economical, challenging, and of course fun.
That's right.
What do you think about that?
I think
Will we catch you on a stand-up paddleboard?
You'll never see me. Nope. Maybe poling a canoe. I've been known to do that. Maybe
next year for your 60th.
But there's not enough sides on them thingums over there.
All right. Well, I'm sure Dave has something to say on the subject over at the CCA Workbench. G'day, Dave. And Colin.
I was just wondering if there was a vote on that birthday thing, or if that was just an edict.
No.
Mr. Murphy.
So it was established by Miss Murphy because she wanted 31 days.
31 days.
Okay. Well, I got you. Well, I'm not going to say much. I'm just going to feed Colin some questions about the kayaks.
Got it.
And he's going to answer them.
Colin Bukowski, our kayak guru over there. Exactly. All right, well, Rick, the Star-Tron Central West region is the perfect place to start our paddle party, and I'm going to let Captain Jeff Page tell us why. Let's get this birthday weekend or month started, Jeff.
All right, everybody. Yeah, it's good to see Colin behind the CCA Workbench.
Woo!
And you know what? In the Star-Tron Central West region, we have lots of paddleboard, kayak paddlers, and etc. And it all starts at the headquarters right in the middle of my region, Economy Tackle. They've been selling paddleboards and kayaks for over 30 years, and it's just become almost like a cult around our region. And the cool thing about that, Rick, is there's so many places starting down south that you can launch your kayak and get back to estuaries, get out on the beach. Starting down south around Placida, you can get back to Catfish Creek, Whiddens Creek, and Bull Bay and Turtle Bay as well from Placida. And then moving up north, Venice and Englewood, lots of beach access, a few inside bay launches, and you can tarpon fish along the beach as well as sheephead and snook. And then moving on up around Vamo in the bay, which is in South Sarasota, is a great place to launch where you can go fish all the spoil islands in Little Sarasota Bay. And then when you get up to the north part of the region, you've got Buttonwood Harbor. Then you've also got all the estuary back in the Robertson's Preserve, which is off of the Manatee River, Rattlesnake Key, also Emerson Point, and then the final area is over there at Fort DeSoto Park, which is just the greatest kayak fishing because you can be in Egmont Pass tarpon fishing with just a few strokes of your paddle. We also have kayak fishing guides in our region. And the one I'm going to mention, I've known him forever. He was an outdoor rider before he became a kayak guide. Steve Gibson of Southern Draw Kayak Tours. And I have some great photos tonight. The first view of Jesse Redfish Wright of Betts Fishing Center with his custom kayak or canoe. And then I've got one of customers of Steve Gibson with a nice fish hooked up on some of the islands, Rick, over there off Buttonwood Harbor.
Yeah, I got you. Stay inshore.
Inshore, snook, Rick. You know, I was going to do tarpon, I was going to do snook, so I did tarpon for the hot spot. The cool thing about the snook fishing right now is if it's slow out there chasing the schools of tarpon, you can pull right in on the beach and on any kind of structure, rock, pilings, trees, even balls of grass. They're going to be snook holding. It's real clear, so you got to downsize your leader. And live pilchard's been the best. But if you like throwing lures, soft plastic works real well. As the top water plug that I've been throwing is that Jaywalker 120 in the chrome and the bone pattern. I've been catching some really big fish right in the inlet there by New Pass and Big Pass, up to 40 inches on live silver mullet and ladyfish. Got a photo tonight of a man, call him Kevin, with a nice snook he got with Stacy Capt from Tightline Charters. Moving offshore, my mango snapper. Last week's full moon got the snapper bite fired off down the whole region, and the fish have been in as close as 60 to 70 feet. Pay attention to your bottom machine. Areas of hard bottom that have good bait stats showing are going to hold more snapper. Key, Rick, has been getting your chum slick out and also cutting up small pieces along with your chum bag. I've talked to guys that have been using 20-pound leader because of how clear the water is, and they've been doing real well. And they all have told me that the red snapper is going to be really good, which kicks off actually today. So that's something to look forward to. And my last species is an overlooked, underrated character on the beach offshore, the Barracuda. A lot of guys are catching them up to 50 inches out over the wrecks and reefs, and sometimes, Rick, it's in as close as a mile. So if you want to have some good action, anything shiny, a pilchard, a thread fin, a spoon, you just got to rig with a piece of leader. All right, and then here we go again. My last picture is that man Kevin again, and this time he's with Captain Brian Marcy of Breakwater Charters with a big old cuda he got a mile off the beach. And I'm just going to make a mention real quick. If you haven't entered the CCA Star Tournament, it's a good time to enter right now. We still got lots of days to catch those tagged redfish along with all the other categories.
All right, thank you so much, Paige. You look good in that Sportsman's Adventure shirt, but we're going to take a look at the daiquiri deck hotspots from the Central West region. Paige says tarpon. Look for the tarpons laid up early off of the beach from the Point of Rock south to Stump Pass. You want to use live thread fins and crabs. Free line or cork is the best bait. And then offshore, red snappers. Opening weekend of snapper season should be awesome. The hard bottom areas off of Venice in 90 to 120 feet of water with a live pinfish or a frozen sardine is gonna catch them snappers.
Paige was so feisty tonight. I liked it. It's because he gets to go to bed now.
That's it. He's first up,
First
in
to go to bed. All right, let's head up to the road a little bit to the Discover Crystal River Northwest region where Captain Jeff Hagman has some paddle tips for us. Go for it, Hag.
Canoes, kayaks, paddleboards are getting more and more popular, and they're a great and less expensive way to get out on the water and give you a little exercise. You don't need that big truck and other stuff that boat owners have to still enjoy the waters and estuaries of Florida has to offer. Super quiet, like I was talking about earlier, stealthy. You can really sneak up on fish. My region has thousands of places to launch along the coast. We have some great rivers and lakes also, as well as canoe and kayak trails through Wheaton Island and places like that. Little homework can be a great way to access fish that are inaccessible to other boats, especially on those lower tides. And it's really a great way to get out there and enjoy the outdoors. Staying inshore, Captain Louie of Florida Fishing Adventures out of Ozella Keys Marina reports lots of great inshore red fishing right now in Ozella. Look for overhanging mangrove shorelines around the St. Martin Keys that create shade over the downcurrent size of the islands of the incoming tide. Live pinfish, 2-inch strip of fresh mullets, what he's using for bait. A 3/0 circle hook tied to 36 inches of 20 to 25 pound fluorocarbon leader is the best way to get hooked up. Be sure to be as quiet as possible when searching for the schools that are around the area. This time of year, kayak fishing is a great way to go target them in the Ozella area and be a little bit more stealthy. Captain Zachary of Tide and True Adventures out of Ozella Keys Marina and Crystal River also reports the redfish bite has been really good on a low incoming tide. Target the mangrove points where there's moving water. Also, the large schools of mullet have also been producing some good redfish. He's using pinfish and cut mullet on a 4/0 circle hook. And I've got a great photo of a nice Ozella redfish from Captain Louie.
Nice. All right, tell us about what's going on offshore, bub.
Offshore, Captain Rob Davenport of Big Nasty Charters out of St. Pete says the weather has been great. The wind's been laying down. The red grouper bite's been really good in that 130 feet of water on small ledges and bait stacks. Red snapper season opens on June 1st for captains with permitted vessels, and June 4th for the recreational guys. And gags also open up on the 1st. Right now, we're going to have a great red snapper season. There's plenty of red snapper in the 120 to 150 pound or 150 foot range. Big red snapper tend to be on higher stacks when you get out there and red snapper fish. So drop your bait down to the bottom and crank it up as quick as you can and get on the higher part of the stacks, kind of judge where you're at, and that'll produce some of the bigger fish. 7-aught circle hook, 80-pound fluorocarbon leader, and the bait of choice has been cut squid or threadfin herring. And I've got a photo of a nice average American red from Captain Rob.
There you go. All right, one to go.
Captain Louie from Florida Fishing Adventures out of Ozella again. From Ozella Keys Marina reports a great start to his 2021 gag grouper season in Crystal River. He's using large lip plugs on the artificial side and live pinfish on the natural side. The groupers have been fired up in 5 feet to 25 feet of water. And out there, that's going out pretty far for 25 feet. It drops off real gradual. You want to use heavy fluorocarbon leader, 80 to 100, and 60 to 65 or 60 to 80 pound braid. Main line should do the trick. And I've got a photo here of one of those nice shallow water grouper. And those grouper are a lot of fun when you get in that shallow water.
You're absolutely right. Good pictures this week, Hag. Thank you so much. We're going to go and take a look at the Ozella Key Marina Hot Spots from the Discover Crystal River region. He says inshore, snook around the outside bars, bridges, docks, and passes. Use free line sardines and pinfish. And then offshore, grouper bite in 55 to 110 feet of water over the rock piles and ledges. Use pinfish on a standard bottom rig.
All right, we're taking our paddle gear to the Fish Bites East region next. But first, Dave Farrell is at the CCA workbench with Colin Bukowski for Academy Sports and Outdoors, Rigs and Techniques.
Yeah, Colin's a Vibe Pro Staff guy, and he's going to tell us, how to pick the right kayak for you. They got big kayaks for fat guys like me.
I think they do, Dave. I think they do.
They do. You're supposed to say you're not. We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats, always in the game. Fenwick. SiriusXM Marine. Weather, fishing mapping, entertainment. Penn. Let the battle begin. Stiffy. Innovators in shallow water performance. And Daiquiri Deck. Sarasota's favorite place to meet.
Reliability. Yamaha is known for it. And it's something boaters value, because these days, few things are built to last. When we find something that is, we hold on to friendships, traditions, outboards. Because every second on the water is sacred. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters choose Yamaha for the long run, for life. Because reliability starts here.
What started in the flats and bays has migrated offshore. GPS-guided trolling motor technology has moved to boats in the 35-plus foot class and allowed anchoring capabilities on most center consoles in any depth of water. From snook and redfish inshore to grouper and swordfish way out deep, Rodan Marine Systems has a GPS anchor to hold your vessel on location. Set it, forget it, catch more fish.
Every year, Noble Air Charter flies over 20,000 outdoorsmen and families just like you, economically, to over 300 Bahamian and Florida destinations. Noble Air Charter makes a substantial investment improving booking and aircraft route planning to create the most affordable and economical flight possible. And tomorrow, Noble Air's team will rise to the challenge to raise the bar yet again.
Well, we're here at the Rigging Techniques here at the CCA Workbench. We're going to talk a little bit about kayaks, how to choose one for yourself. And we're going to go through 5 things. So we're going to try to get through these 5 little tips as fast as possible. What's the first thing you got to think about when you're going to get one of these?
Well, the first thing you want to think about is what kind of fishing you're going to be doing. Now, obviously, it's become more and more popular that offshore kayak fishing has become,
especially here in Florida.
Yeah, especially in Southeast Florida, because the Gulf Stream's a lot closer to shore.
Yeah.
But that
blue
doesn't,
water at 200 feet is a half a mile away.
Right. But that doesn't mean that there's people not fishing in the bays, along the beaches, the creeks, canals, ponds, and lakes.
Right.
That you might get up in like Central Florida for bass or something. So when you're looking at getting a kayak, whether it's your first time getting into kayak fishing or if you're a seasoned angler that's done it for a few years, that's the first thing you want to think about is what kind of fishing you're going to be doing. Now, obviously down here, we have this Vibe Shearwater. This thing's decked out mainly for big water fishing.
Yeah,
offshore.
It looks like a big, long kayak.
Yeah, so it's
12 feet long, right?
It's pretty stacked up for offshore fishing, going a long ways in the bay. If you make it out into the Everglades, you're just trekking away like miles and miles. This is the good kayak to have. And the reason I like it is because that pod up in the middle is for your pedals.
Right.
So you can take those pedals out, you put them back in, or you can take that pod out and you have a replacement pod that'll be extra deck space, so you can stand up and throw a cast net, get up and sight fish.
I gotcha.
So obviously this probably wouldn't be a kayak you want to get if you're someone who's just getting started into it and you're going to be fishing like in the canals for bass, peacock bass. You might want to look into something that's a little smaller in the 10-foot range and that weighs less, because this one weighs about 97 pounds empty.
Right.
But they have some out there that you can get that are probably 40 to 60 pounds that are a little bit easier to carry.
So our second tip here is going to be speed over stability. I guess the smaller kayak is going to be a little bit faster, or am I wrong in that?
It's not necessarily a length thing when it comes to that. It's really a width.
I guess.
So this is a really wide kayak, and it's probably one of the most stable ones I've ever had. But now, you'll see more and more of the guys that are fishing for sailfish or tuna offshore are fishing out of really narrow kayaks that used to be for like racing.
So they can cut the waves.
Yeah, but now they're rigging those kayaks out for fishing, putting rod holders, gear tracks for depth finders and transducers and stuff like that. And
is it mainly just to be able to pierce the waves and that stuff in the Gulf Stream?
Oh yeah, to cut through the currents, the surf, the waves, and it's just the speed factor is that much better. Even if you have one like this with pedals, they're still gonna beat you out there. It's the narrow versus the width, and
it's kind of like a racing kayak. Some of those, aren't they?
Yeah, but the one thing that you lack with those narrow kayaks is the stability. So you're not going to be able to stand up and do that sight fishing that people in the Everglades might want to do for redfish.
I got you. Well, the third thing we're going to talk about is the weight of the boat, and you mentioned that this one weighs 96 pounds.
Yeah.
So if you're a little frail person like myself, you wouldn't want to be putting 96 pounds over your head.
Yeah, you want to make sure it's one that definitely you can lift by yourself.
Right.
Like if you're not going to have somebody going with you, you want to make sure it's one that you can put in your truck bed, or if you're someone that's got an SUV with roof racks, it's
a long way up there.
That's a harder thing to do. You got to get it way up there. So that's definitely something you want to consider as well. And they have ones that you can buy for like $400 off of a sporting goods store, or ones that are like $3,000 now that are really meant for fishing.
What's the normal weight of these things? You said this one weighed 96 pounds, but that's a bigger one. What do the smaller ones weigh?
It really depends on the material. So like this one's rotomolded plastic, and now you see a lot of them are made with a rotomolded plastic and fiberglass hybrid, which those are the heavier ones. But one that's about 10 to 11 feet, that's not quite this size, will probably weigh on average about 50, 55 pounds.
Well, and that's easy for somebody to
do. That's a lot easier.
All right, and then you got number 4 here is, how big are you? Which, which is I alluded to before
you have to kind of consider your physique when you're doing this, because this is a sport that people are really getting into.
And how good a shape you're in as well.
How good a shape you're in, because you're going to be out there anywhere from 8 hours to 12 hours. So you want to make sure it's a kayak, canoe, paddleboard that you can power by yourself.
Right.
Because you're not always going to have a buddy system. While there are tandem kayaks where you can have someone with you, but you want to make sure it's something you can maneuver and move around and
flip over if you have to.
Yeah, and if you flip offshore, the last thing you need is one that you can't flip back over and get back in.
Right. So, last but not least, how much stuff you got?
Well, that's the big question. You know, us
Because I like to have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, fishermen in general, you know, we like to have a lot of stuff. Whether it's the rods like we have over here, we have, you know, the pedal drives that you're bringing, your paddle, your tackle boxes, and if you're using live bait, you got a 5-gallon bucket back there.
Right.
So you have to consider how much stuff you're going to bring. But there are loopholes around it. Like this kayak, I typically like to bring a lot less gear because as you see, there's not a lot of hatches on it.
Right.
But they do make ones that are sit on top, that drain easy, a lot like this one that will have a hatch up in the front.
And they have a lot of storage compartments.
That you can stow all the stuff that you don't want to get wet. So if you're somebody that likes to bring a lot of gear and tackle boxes, that might be the kind that you want to consider. If you're somebody that travels light, then something with a lot of open deck space that'll drain really quick is definitely one you want to consider.
Well, that should help you get out there and get one.
Yeah.
I'd really like to get one. So, you know, if you can whisper in the Vibe guy's ear for me, I'd like to get one of those. So.
Oh boy.
Send out some vibes.
We're ready for one.
Dave's going to get physical in a kayak.
Exactly. I need to do something.
The reason you'll never see, he didn't mention anything about the Dion's chicken. Didn't mention anything. If I got no space for no Dion's chicken, it's not going with me.
Look at the hand going. He's serious about his Dion's.
He's got to be.
Yeah, he's got to be. You could have a bucket around your neck.
Exactly.
That would be perfect. All right, sometimes
a chicken bucket.
A chicken bucket. Yeah. All right, sometimes being one with the fish and nature is the best way to fish, and that's just what you're going to get when you're paddle sporting in the Fish Bites East region. Happy belated birthday, Mike. Do you celebrate 30 days like this guy does?
I do a week.
No.
All right.
A week's good. So
Yeah,
happy
a week's
birthday
good.
still.
And I just pick my days randomly throughout the year.
Perfect.
Good. He's smarter than I am.
He's so smart.
All right, well, tell us about what's going on in your East region.
But, you know, we've got some great paddle fishing in the region, whether you want to fish from a kayak, a canoe, or a stand-up paddleboard. If blue water species are what you want, you can launch off the beaches from Lake Worth all the way up to Singer Island, which, you know, the Gulf Stream's close to shore. So you have a shot at everything from kingfish to sailfish, wahoo, dolphin, everything. A lot of guys use jigging spoons when they fish offshore, but you can also fish, you know, a live or dead sardine with good luck. A lot of guys will find a bait school and just fish around that bait school and do very, very well. You can also come in closer to the beaches and fish for snook or tarpon, or also kingfish around those bait schools. You know, anything within like a couple hundred yards of the beach, you can throw live bait, lures, flies, and do very well. Otherwise, you know, you're going to fish inshore. Anywhere you can get access to the water, you can launch. And, you know, from when you launch, it's just usually a short paddle to the fish. There's a couple spots in my area like Twin Rivers Park, North Bridge up in Fort Pierce, Round Island Park, up right on the Indian River, St. Lucie County line has really good areas to launch with great fishing nearby. A lot of anglers throw either topwater plugs, swimming plugs, or soft body jigs. You know, they work shoreline, mangroves, and docks. Nice thing, and they'll work the seawalls as well. Nice thing is you can get away from the crowds and fish areas that are getting a lot less fishing pressure. I have a photo. That's Kristen Galetka of Stewart. She caught this end of season, top of the slot snook. She caught that off her paddleboard. That fish ate a saltwater assassin Houdini colored 4-inch sea shad. Look real close, you can see it in its mouth. The other thing we got going, we're starting to see the first push of tarpon out of the Keys, and they're moving out of the Keys up the coast. The fish are migrating into my area right now. From now through the second or third week in July, we'll see fish moving into the inlets. We'll see them moving up in the rivers and, you know, onto their beachfront summer haunts. All the inlets will have fish on a regular basis from now on, as will Big and Little Mud Creeks. That's up in the Indian River, the St. Lucie Locks, and Harbor Ridge in the St. Lucie River, and then like the Boy Scout area up in the Loxahatchee River will have fish. You can target the beach fish with anything from live crabs to a pilcher, to threadfin, a mullet, a sardine. You can throw dark colored flies in low light. You can throw bright colored flies in the middle of the day. Excuse me. For the fish that are on the inside, you can post up and fish a mullet or a threadfin, fish them live on the surface, or you fish them dead on the bottom, doesn't matter. Tarpon are kind of scavengers. You can cast bait to the rolling fish. For those randomly rolling fish, you can throw a dark colored saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad and just throw right at the rollers, let it sink a couple seconds, and then reel it real slow, and you'll get that bite. And the average tarpon region right now is going to be, like 40 to 80 pounds, but we'll see them up to about 120.
All right, let's go offshore, bub.
Well, the summer sailfish bite typically doesn't get good until around Father's Day, but we're seeing good numbers of mostly large fish right now from Palm Beach all the way up to Fort Pierce. It seems like the fish are just a bit deeper than normal. They're out in like 150 to 300 feet of water, and that's probably because there's a lot of sharks inside of 120 feet. The fish are in schools of 3 to 6 fish, so when a fish comes up and you get the bite, keep your bait in the water because you'll probably get multiple bites. There's no rhyme or reason to where the fish are holding. You just want to cover a lot of ground, cover a lot of water. You can do that by trolling, either naked ballyhoo or ballyhoo with a pink or a blue and white skirt, or you can slow troll a pilchard, a threadfin, or a Spanish sardine. And the average sailfish right now is like 40 pounds. So most of them are pretty good size. The other thing, the holiday weekend produced a fantastic mutton snapper bite that's just continuing to roll on into this week. The best action's been in 80 to 110 feet of water in Palm Beach County from like just north of Lake Worth Inlet on up. Around Jupiter, it seems like it's 85 feet of water. Off Hope Sound, it seems like it's 75 feet of water. And that depth kind of goes all the way up to Jensen Beach. A lot of the muttons have been big. Most of the fish are over 12 pounds right now. The best action has been for the boats that are anchoring up and chumming with chunks of sardines or cigar minnows. They're either dropping them down using that paper bag method where you drop it down and kind of pull on your rod and let the paper bag bust, or they're using a chum pot. For bait, grunt plugs are the magic bait, but a ballyhoo and a jig combination works really well. Pilchard, threadfin, sardines, those are all the top baits. I have a photo, that's Justin Angel. He caught that nice mutton snapper in 75 feet of water. He was fishing with Captain Chris Britton, and that fish ate a grunt plug.
All right, Mike, tell us about the bass, bud.
Well, the water levels are down about 4 feet on the Kissimmee Toho chain, which is kind of like last year, and that's pushing a lot of the bass out into the deeper areas in the middle of the lakes. It hasn't rained much, so the water temperatures are up. They're around 85 degrees. The water's dingy, but if you can find some clean water around the open holes in the hydrilla in like 4 to 6 feet of water, you can really whack the fish right now. I was talking to Captain Steve Niemiller of bassonline.com. He said to start your day throwing either white spinnerbaits or a chatterbait with a white head and a June bug colored trailer. There's a lot of school fish, particularly around the eelgrass beds. Find those eelgrass beds. That's kind of a sign of sandy bottom, and that's generally a cooler area right now. Find that eelgrass, you'll find the schooling fish. You can toss a live shiner or a June bug colored bass assassin, RSB worm, rig Texas style. There's also a good topwater bite in the same area, but that's an afternoon bite. It's kind of weird. No morning topwater bite. Late in the afternoon is when it's going. Right now it's a 30 to 50 fish morning. A lot of 3, 4, 5 pounders in the mix.
I think we lost him. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the Tnh Marine Hot Spots from the East region. Mike says that the whiting and the croakers at Hobe Sound are going to be biting fish bites, easy fleas, shrimps, or sand fleas on light tackle inshore. And then offshore, he says sailfish and small dolphin in 150 to 250 feet of water east of the St. Lucie Inlet. You want to troll rig, ballyhoo, and live thread fins for those dudes.
Dudes?
Dudes.
For those dudes, okay.
Yeah, man.
Well, if you fish from a kayak, canoe, or paddleboard, you need to be entered in the CCA Florida Star Competition. And it's not just the native watercraft kayak division for paddle anglers to compete in, but they can enter in any of the divisions to win their share of $500,000 in prizes. Catch a West Marine Star tagged redfish and win the choice of a boat, motor, and trailer package. The competition began last weekend, but there's the entire summer to go fish, so it's not too late to register. Catch, photo, release, and win. It's that easy and simple, but you have to be registered, so go register today at ccaflstar.com. It's doing pretty good.
Like everybody needs to get registered.
Get registered.
We say it every year.
Every
year.
year.
Come on, guys. It's not hard.
All right. Here's your weekly reminder also that if you would like a chance to win this exact 1952 Chevy 3100 hot rod, it's so beautiful. Speechless.
Like it?
I want it. I'm just going to buy all the tickets, Rick.
Okay, buy them.
Buy them.
All right.
Thanks to Rick over here.
So
get your
get
tickets at ccaflorida.org/hot rod.
All right.
All right. We're checking in with our Alvey Reels Northeast and Garmin Panhandle regions when we return. So keep on paddling and we will be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Bajío, fresh eyes for a rich life. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure. R&R Tackle, from our tackle box to yours. Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealer. Visit one of our 4 locations or online at floridacoasteq.com. And Garmin, plot your paradise.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
Real Legends Performance Outfitters. All you need to feel comfortable on the water all day. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Real Legends Performance Outfitters. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime. Go to reallegends.com to find a store near you. The only reel with over 100 years of heritage. Alvi Sidecast reels allow you to cast over 150 yards with up to 900 yards of capacity. Alvi's state-of-the-art drag and 22-inch retrieve rate per wind is perfect for any surf challenge. Alvi reels are manufactured to best practice standards and are in fact so robust that the Alvi also comes with a 10-year salt and sand warranty. For more information, go to alvius.com.
You know the cool thing that's coming, Brie?
Yes.
Which you'll see one of our, the next Yamaha package we do, we have an app now that's going to be able to monitor the maintenance of the motor. So you get a new motor, you punch in your serial number. Now it's going to alert you on your phone when it's time for an oil change, when it's time for a 100-hour check. And then more importantly, somebody else buys it down the road, you plug in the serial number, and then it can see the maintenance schedule and all the things you did or didn't do.
Yep.
So remember that.
That's great. There's an app for everything these days.
It's like Carfax for Yamahas.
I was going to say that. Get out of here.
Oh, I'm in there.
No, you're not.
Okay.
In the Alvi Reels Northeast region, it's all about access when it comes to the paddle sports. So let's talk with Captain Tommy Derringer and find out where we need to go. Hey, Tommy.
Hey, guys. Yeah, you know what, Brie, you're exactly right. The Alvi Sidecast Reels Northeast region, it's an awesome place to get your yak or your paddleboard on. You know, kayaks and those stand-up paddleboards, they're hugely popular in my region. And really, they can be the perfect watercraft to access some really great fishing spots. And we have some of the biggest tides in the state. You know, they can range from 5 to even 6 foot of movement during just a 6-hour period. And using a paddlecraft to fish from, that can make getting in and out of where you'd like to fish much easier in some cases than if you were in a boat. Now, some areas that are popular places to kayak and paddleboard fish, it's going to be the Tomoka Basin and Pellicer Flats to the south end of the region. And then in St. Augustine, we have Guana Lake and Guana River. And in Jacksonville, we have Chickapit Bay, as well as creeks like Clapboard and Simpsons. There's access to most all of those places. And it gets super shallow in those areas at low tide. But you know what? The fish, they'll stay in some of those slightly deeper pockets, even when most of the water is completely sucked out. Now, being able to fish those shallow areas, even on that super low tide, that's one reason so many people are taking to the kayak and or paddleboarding. Now, on the other side of that, you know, getting access to flooded grass during our late summer and early fall flood tides, that can be made easy in a kayak or paddleboard, as you know, they draft next to nothing. Now, we've had some really low tides this past week, and the redfish, they've been bunched up in some areas that might only be accessible by kayak or paddleboard. And I've got a picture here. This is Mackenzie Ray with a nice redfish that she caught in Jacksonville, one of those skinny areas on the yak with the help of her buddy, Ridge Singletary.
Great picture there, Tommy.
Thanks, man. You know, hey, and staying inshore, guys, the trout bite, it continues to be good throughout the region. With the early morning high tide, it's going to be a perfect weekend to toss a topwater plug like that Berkeley Jaywalker. That plug is doing really well for us. I'll have my clients toss that guy parallel to the grass lines up on the flats. Now you really want to walk it as close to the edge of the grass as possible on that high tide. Those big trout and redfish for that matter, they stage up looking for a mullet to ambush as they swim right down that edge. Now I would also get on it early. It seems like the topwater bite, it's starting to shut down a little earlier, about an hour or so after daylight as things continue to warm up. Now, once the sun comes up a bit and the tide backs out, I'm gonna switch to a Saltwater Assassin Sea Shad on a 1/4 ounce jig head, and I'm gonna start fishing those edges of the intercoastal waterway. And we've been doing well on the bigger white oyster shell mounds just north of the Volano Bridge in St. Augustine. Now, especially look for the oyster bars that are gonna be holding the bait, the mullet, the tiny shrimp, that kind of stuff. Now, I spoke to my buddy, Captain Rob Bennett from coastalfish.net. Now, he's also been doing well in those same spots with the trout, but he's floating or free-lining some live shrimp on those last couple hours of the outgoing tide. Now, Captain Rob is also fishing those shrimp in the deeper creek bends and under some of the docks around downtown St. Augustine and doing well. And speaking of that, I've got a photo that Rob sent me. This is Erica Shatilla with a nice gator trout that she caught last week with Captain Rob Bennett in St. Augustine.
Man, what an awesome fish, dude. God dang.
We've got some big trout happening. We got some big trout happening this year. Now moving offshore, Captain Rob Bennett, he also gave me a great kingfish report this week. Finally, the kingfish have shown up. The pogies, they've also decided to show up along the beaches. And in turn, those kingfish follow those pogies. That's what they like to eat. Now, those kings are on the nearshore reefs and live bottom pretty much throughout the region at this point. Slow trolling live pogies, either up top or on the downrigger. That's going to be the go-to for catching those kingfish all summer long, even into the early fall. Now, look for those structures out there that are holding bait. Those are going to be the ones that are holding the most fish. Now, Rob also told me, keep an eye out for some of the big leatherback turtles. They've been hanging around some of the nearshore structures, and guess what? They've had some cobia on their backs, and that's always a really nice surprise. Now, also offshore, I'm going to talk mahi once again this week. I keep talking about them. The bite continues to be good. I spoke to my buddies from Team Creeder Fish. You know what? They told me they've still been getting on a really good mahi bite anywhere you can find a weed line or a current edge, and they're starting at about 140 feet, but they've even been out and found them as deep as 1,200 feet. Now, they've been doing the usual thing, like a lot of guys do. They pull in rigged ballyhoo, either naked or skirted. And it seems like the numbers of fish maybe getting a little bit smaller, not catching quite as many, but the average size seems to be bigger. And speaking of big mahi, I've got one last picture here. This is Nate Creeder and Stephen Porter with a big mahi that they caught this week east of St. Augustine.
And he is stoked on it.
Bree,
so stoked.
He keeps bringing these big fish pictures. We might have to move.
Well, Tommy's got room.
There's too many people here already. Sorry.
Tommy's got lots of room. And there's another one on the way. Tommy, you want 5 kids in your house?
No.
Plus Rick? 6?
Yeah.
6
kids. Right.
All right, Tommy, thank you so much. We're going to take a look at the strike zone hotspots from the Northeast region. He says inshore, trout and redfish at first light on topwater plugs, fish the grass lines that are holding the finger mullet. And then offshore, check out the kingfish on the nearshore reefs and live bottom throughout the region, Bree.
I can't believe you just said you want to move.
Man, I want to go where the fishes is.
I know,
big fish.
The big fish are there. Yeah. All right, let's check in with Captain Pat Deneen and see what the Garmin Panhandle region can offer when it comes to some paddle sport fishing. Tell us, Pat.
Hey, Bree, I tell you what, just like Tommy was saying, kayak fishing and stand-up paddleboat fishing, they've definitely exploded in the past few years, and the boats are very popular up there in the Panhandle. Like boats, every year the technology features keep improving, and the kayak anglers and paddleboarders they're like small boats, and they're starting to push the capability of the technical bowling skiffs, accessing those really shallow areas that it's, difficult to get in or out of with a boat. In the Panhandle, stand-up anglers tend to stay fairly close to the beach or go way up in the inshore areas, not accessible by most people. Primarily, they're targeting redfish and trout in the bays, and really anything that swims along the coast in the Gulf, tarpons, cobias, kings, whatever. The kayak fishermen, though, they definitely have the advantage in the Gulf with their, low center of gravity, and especially the guys that are using the foot pedals, to cover some ground. You see some kayakers sometimes 2, 3, 4 miles offshore. They're fishing nearshore structure. They're catching snappers, and other reef fishes, but also pelagics like cobias and mackerels. And this summer, the blue water's been close by, and they've been catching some mahi and occasionally a wahoo if they're really lucky. There's a photo of Kelly Madison at Fort Walton Beach. She likes to paddleboard fish off of her boat stand-up board. A really nice redfish she caught near the Destin area just recently.
That's a great redfish, bub.
Yeah, no kidding, especially off that little floating board.
Yeah, man.
But speaking of redfish, this past week, the conditions, they've been exceptional for sight fishing along the Panhandle beaches for redfish, either from shore, kayak, or a boat. The north and the east winds have had the beach calm for the most part, especially if you travel into the eastern part of the region where the shoreline kind of curves down, so an east wind turns more into an offshore wind. Walk or paddleboard or trolling motor down the beach with the sun to your back, and you should find them on that first sandbar or just past where that bar rolls down into deeper water. You want to use a white or a pearl colored soft plastic or cast an unweighted live cigar minnow or herring. But also be ready to encounter jack crevalles, bluefish, and pompano. The redfish on the beach are mid to upper slot fish. And some fish pushing 2 and over 40 inches long, so there are some big ones up there as well. And then moving offshore, Friday, June 4th, red snapper opened up in both federal and state waters for recreational fishermen. Their snappers are structure oriented, so fish bottom spots, 80 to 200 foot of water, both natural bottom and artificial bottom. And pay attention to also some of the public numbers. There's plenty of fish on the public numbers. Use a slip sinker with enough weight to get down 5 to 6 feet of 30 to 60 pound leader, and a circle hook, size to match your bait. If you're in the shallower water, 60 to 80 foot of water, a light tackle spinning rod, 40 pound braid, 20 to 40 pound leader. But like I said, even in the most public spots, a little bit of chumming and finesse will produce some really good snappers. You're expecting to see plenty of fish being caught this weekend, up to and over 20 pounds. And then finally, blue water has been close this summer as a kayaker has been benefiting on the mahis, but also small boat guys are really benefiting. That blue water has been within really 25 to 50 miles of shore, so even the smaller 22 to 25 foot outboards can access it. So if you've got that range and you're comfortable and you got the weather, there's some good fishing in your future. Blue water is closer this summer than it's been in the past few seasons. The south edge, the southwest edge, the nipples, the squiggles all have blue water, and plenty of sargassum grass. And you can find areas where that grass is lined up or in big islands. You're sure to find some mahis. And then finally, the Okaloosa Fads out in the DeSoto Canyon, they've been holding bait. They're definitely something that you can go to and find and expect to have some structure and some bait and some fish. There's been mahis there, and you also have a really good chance of encountering a blue marlin or a white marlin or a wahoo.
All right, Pat, thank you. Good report. We appreciate you very much. We're going to go and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. Pat says trout fishing remains solid on the grass and 3 to 5 feet of water using live baits. And then offshore, the red snapper on natural and artificial bottom in state and federal waters use live cigar minnows on a slip rig.
All right, coming up, we're floating into the Real Legends Central East region, but I see some fun new birthday products at the CCA workbench. Are any of those for Rick over there, Dave?
Oh no, but
oh no, not
I
today.
love the smell of new shoes, though, boy. Couldn't smell them after I wore them, but you can smell them now.
Smell them all we want now, huh?
Yeah, that's nice.
It's like a new car, but it's a shoe.
It's a shoe.
Okay, that works. Smell away.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there. Penn, let the battle begin. Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin. Best lures, period. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Yamaha's reputation for saltwater reliability is driven by the 4.2-liter V6 Offshore's 97% reliability and overall performance. Reimagined with new advantages like built-in digital electric steering for incredible responsiveness and exhaust rerouting for more powerful reverse thrust. The legacy of the reliable Yamaha 4.2-liter V6 continues, now more refined and capable than ever. Yamaha, reliability starts here.
It's one of the most ancient forms of hide-and-seek known to man. And nobody knows how to play the fishing game better than the backcountry guides and offshore captains of the Florida Keys and Key West. Ready or not, here we come.
You know, we're here at the CCA workbench. It's time for the new products, the Tnh Marine new products. And, you know, they have no idea what the producer says during the commercial breaks, do they?
It was funny.
It was funny.
Spinfisher 6 right there. It's the 4500 version. That one actually is a bailless model. They come with, you know, you can either have them with a bail or without. A lot of guys are going without the bail these days, especially when they're using braid because, you know, flipping that bail over a lot. If you're, you know, if you do it by hand, you don't get those wind knots as much because it stays where it's supposed to. But, you know, that's a pretty cool little feature on there. This is the IPX5 sealing system, sealed reel. So, you know, water can't get into the gearbox or the drag system.
Right.
And it's got the HT100 drag system in it as well. The washers in there, the same ones they use in the big reels to catch blue marlins with.
They can see how it's sealed.
Yeah, it's sealed up, full metal body and side plates. A CNC gear system that stays aligned even though, you know, you got a lot of pressure on it. 5+1 stainless steel ball bearings in there, a super line spool, and a line capacity rings on there so you can tell how much line you've got to put on there. And,
correct.
And yeah, it comes with the 2500 to 5000 comes with an auto bail if you want it, or without it. The 6500 to 1050 is a manual bail only, and you know, the bailless ones come. You know, they have a long cast version as well for the surf fishing guy. So, you know, that thing's impervious to salt water. You can do with anything you want.
Sounds good.
Spinfisher 6. Next here we have the Plano Edge from Plano Molding. They spent 2 years making these boxes. You know, you can open them with one hand. They got the nice clear plastic top so you can see everything inside.
See what's in there.
Yeah, one little labeling system on the side here. They stack really nicely, and they won't slide around once you put them together. They got a restrictor rust protection inside. All that plastic in there has been infused with this stuff that prohibits rust. It's got a dry lock, watertight seal all the way around the outside, which is like an O-ring that keeps water out. Water won't get in there. I mentioned the one-handed operation. You can open it and close it with one hand.
What's this little doohickey here?
That's the water wick doohickey. It's interchangeable. You know, I mean, you can use it over and over again. What it does is, if any moisture does make its way in there, that thing's a little
wicks it up.
Sucks it up. Exactly.
Nice.
Comes with, there's the Edge Flex. This is the Edge Flex box. Actually, has 1,000 different combinations you can make with that thing, and the other ones it's slightly less. Same sort of stuff inside and everything, but with the 3 rigid ones, it just knocks down the available.
Well, this would be the perfect
configuration
box for jig heads.
Oh, exactly.
Or different hooks.
Jig heads, even weights and stuff. Exactly. Yeah. Terminal tackle. Although Edge makes one specifically for terminal tackle. They make a lot of. I mean, Plano makes a lot of different sizes of these edges.
And that's Plano.com.
PlanoMolding.com.
Okay.
Next, we have the Berkeley Gulp. This is a limited edition Gulp You know, Gulp's been around for a while, but this is like the first big innovation in the Gulp line, and it's the translucent colors.
Yeah.
You know, they're making the 3 and the 4 inch shrimp in these different colors, really cool colors. Sangria, Scooby, Starry Night, and the Flamingo.
Ooh.
This is very, very nice. You know,
but look at the translucent.
Yeah,
color.
Never before seen these translucent Gulps. Same scent and same dispersal method, so they're going to work. They should work the same. You know, same
good,
flavor,
sweet taste.
Supposedly, exactly.
Yep. And this is the difference. This is the old version,
right?
And here's the new version,
right? You can see the clear, the translucent.
Yeah,
very
I like
neat.
it.
I think they're going to work well.
A big upgrade. Did you say it was limited edition or something?
Said limited edition translucent. I hope they, maybe they'll keep doing it. I'm not sure.
All right.
All right. Next, we got some Magellan Outdoors Pro Angler fishing shoes. Really nice 3-layer open mesh on top. TPR outsoles for traction and durability. Nice bungee lace system. It also comes with a Rayburn here, which is another model. Like $10 cheaper, not much difference either. Really light shoes, removable insoles, and nice drainage holes and everything. So, you know, if you do get any water in there, it comes right out. So go down to academy.com. These are made for Academy, Magellan's Academy only. So,
all right, Bree.
Those are good looking shoes.
They
I must
are very
say.
nice.
Yeah, man.
They're very nice. All right, Captain Jim Ross in the Real Legends Central East region is ready to talk paddle to us. So, Jim, tell us what you know.
Well, I'll tell you, the popularity of paddlecraft is amazing to me. People are going all out to make sure that they've got these things rigged out to the max so they can go out and catch fish, whether you like to go inshore, near shore, or even offshore with these things. Now, self-propulsion is the key to all of these types of paddlecraft, whether it be a stand-up board or whether it be a sit-down type of a kayak. And so you can catch fish and you can also get a workout at the same time. So it really, the guys that like workouts and girls that like workouts, and, you know, fitness buffs really like this type of craft. You can catch dolphin, sailfish, and tarpon on the near shore and offshore waters, snook, trout on the redfish inshore. The low cost of ownership that's probably the key feature to these things, because you don't have to spend tens of hundreds or hundreds of thousands of dollars to go out there and get yourself a motorized vessel. So check out the paddlecraft, you know, whether it be a kayak or paddleboard. The next time you stop at one of your local retailers, you probably will not be disappointed. Speaking of offshore, our summer dolphin bite has arrived in the Real Legends region. And over the past few days, we've had some really good numbers of dolphins starting to come into the cleaning table. Now, most of this action in the south part of the region is starting from about 120 to about 200 foot. In the north part of the region, it's starting at about 140 to 160 and going out to about 300 feet. On the eastern side of the Gulf Stream, we've got some excellent patches of dolphin over there around those sargasso weeds and other floating debris. Skirted or naked ballyhoo with a 60 to 100 pound mono or wire leader will work. And right now our average dolphin is running about 7 to 15 pounds, but a couple of those fish are getting even bigger. Now, swinging inshore, our speckled trout bite is getting pretty darn good. You know, we've been talking about it over the last month, and it's really, really good right now. Captain Troy Perez was telling me they had 7 fish over 22 inches the other day. So, you know, and that's in the Indian River, but the Mosquito Lagoon's also got some fish. The Banana River's also got some fish. You need to concentrate on your mullet pods. That's the main thing. Flats that are less than 2 feet deep with mullet on them are the way to go. And if you want to catch those bigger fish, a live mullet, a live croaker, or a live pilcher are solid bait choices. Walk the dog style plugs, and of course, our favorite, the Saltwater Assassin products, that 4-inch sea shad and that 5-inch jerk bait in the opening night, Native Shiner or Mama's 14K color patterns are all working really well right now. Our average trout is running about 16 to 22 inches, but we have got some bigger gator trout that are showing up. And I've got a picture here of Kieran Kidder. He was out with Captain Peter Deeks the other day in the Sebastian area and did pretty good on trout himself.
KK catching a big one, man. All right.
Yeah. Tarpon right now, Rick. Tarpon are in our backwaters in New Smyrna to Oak Hill, 20 to 50 pound class for the most part. Captain Mike Mann has been crushing them up there. He's using them live jumbo shrimp, fingerling mullet, and pigfish. And anglers are also getting them on streamer style flies that imitate pilchards or mullet, especially first thing in the morning when you see those fish rolling. Now make sure you don't motor through the areas where you see the fish rolling, because obviously they'll kind of leave that area and go to another place and set up to feed. But I've got a picture here of Captain Mike sent me, one of those tarpon that he got there in the New Smyrna area.
Nice.
And then my second picture, Rick, you and I have gone on a lot of adventures.
Aww.
And my two personal best catches ever, a Marlin on fly.
Yes, sir.
And Miss Robin in Isla Mirada last week, both happened with you. And I just want to say thank you for being a part of both of those special events in my life.
We're both crying, Jim. Congratulations. Oh, that's so sweet.
It was a beautiful wedding, and I appreciate everybody that was there.
Well, we love Robin. Robin, congratulations to you, too.
It sure was a beautiful wedding. Thank you for including Kathy and I. But unfortunately, we got to go. We got to do the Tnh Marine System hot spots from the Central East region. Inshore trout in all 3 lagoons around the mullet pods use topwater plugs early and then switch to the saltwater assassin 4-inch and 5-inch sea shats or jerkbaits later in the day. And then offshore dolphins starting in 120-foot zone out to the 120-mile buoy. Use naked or skirted ballyhoo trolled at 4 to 6 knots.
Here's your hanky. You're going to need one.
You're gonna smear my
I'm pregnant.
makeup.
What's your excuse? Why are you crying?
I'm getting soft.
I know you are. All right, get a jump start on getting geared up with the perfect gift for Dad for Father's Day. Now through June 8th, enjoy 30% off men's Real Legends apparel at reallegends.com. I'm gonna go do that after we film tonight because my dad loves Real Legends shirts. And now it's time for the Real Legends trivia question. Visit the Real Legends Facebook page every Friday to answer the trivia question of the week, and one winner who leaves the correct answer in the comment section will win a Real Legends gift card. And the question is, what is a benefit of fishing while standing on a paddleboard? Remember to leave your answer in the comment section on the Real Legends Facebook page. And good luck. All right, we are continuing our journey into the Alta Equipment Company Keys and Real Legends Southwest regions when we come back, so stay hooked.
Speaking of Real Legends, look at that.
It's pretty.
There's the booty.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by StarTron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Albi Reels, a better way to fish. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 35 years. Diamond Fishing Products, our reputation is on the line. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites. We are the Fish Bites Nation, and this is your invitation. So grab some fish bites and get busy casting, because you can't join the nation without doing the catching. Ask for Fish Bites or Fish Bites Fight Club lures, or visit fishbites.com.
Come explore untouched Florida, where you'll step into holy sea cow and fish pristine waters where you'll reel in, whoa! Come discover Crystal River with exciting adventures and incredible surprises everywhere. From exhilarating river adventures to scalloping in the Gulf to delicious fish to fork cuisine, this is the place where you can relax into Just a short drive from Tampa and Orlando is the amazing Discover Crystal River, Florida. Learn more at discovercrystalriverfl.com.
Service and reliability makes Alta Equipment the leader for all your construction equipment needs. With 7 locations across Florida and preferred brands like Volvo, Toro, Talk, Avant, and Roadtech, Alta has the equipment to get the job done. When I need equipment, I trust Alta. From agriculture to landscape to construction, Alta has you covered. For sales, rentals, service, and parts, see your local Alta Equipment dealer today or call them at 844-GO-TO-ALTA.
Well, Rick, I couldn't think of a more beautiful and tranquil place to fish from paddleboard to kayak than the Alta Equipment Company Keys region. So let's talk with Captain Randy Tao and see what advice he has to offer us. Go ahead, Randy.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, here in the Alta Equipment region, paddleboarding is a big deal. I mean, up and down the Keys, from Key Largo to Key West, you can find paddleboard rentals at almost every marina. I see them every day on the water, and I see a lot of them on the bay side, mainly because it's going to be a lot calmer with the wind direction for the most part coming from the ocean and the bay being calm, where guys can get up on a paddleboard. And I'll tell you what, if you've never done it, it's not easy getting on a paddleboard and poling around with your paddle. I've tried it, and it wasn't pretty. So I give credit to the people that can do it and actually stay on it. And, being in the Keys, you got a lot of people that don't have a lot of regard for someone doing that, and they go by them at 30 miles an hour. I can only imagine what the results are, but it's certainly a lot of fun, and you got to learn how to do it, how to stay up there and be stable. And the marina that I fish out of, the Lorelei, it's a very popular place for paddleboard rentals, and they do them right there at mile marker 82. And certainly if you want to enjoy the water of the Florida Keys, that's a great way to do it. We don't have much on the fishing side of it because most of the fishing that we have is going to be further out into the bay in the backcountry. So it's really not as much for fishing around here as it is for just enjoying being on the water. Talking about the inshore fishing, the redfish right now, there's a lot of redfish in the backcountry, especially around the Flamingo area. Now, most of the guys that I'm talking to are catching them on top of the flat, and that would be the reason why I'm not catching them on the shorelines and the deeper water, because a lot of these fish are shallow right now. So the guys are sight fishing, and some guys are just drifting over top of the flats. It really depends on your style of fishing. A lot of people think when you're on a flat, you're going to sight fish to everything, and some guys just blind cast. A gold spoon or a snap and shrimp fish bites work really well. And a lot of times you can just throw it out and work it back to the boat and have good success. And sometimes you can actually see them and get a good cast to them. It just depends where you are and what you're trying to do. But plenty of fish right now, mostly on the higher tides. Once that tide gets up where you can get on the flat, you're going to find some fish. And then as it starts to fall out, when the tide gets low, they're pretty much off the flats and into the channels. I've got a photo from Carmen Perez fishing with her husband in the backcountry with her nice redfish she caught over the weekend.
Nice. Good job, Carmen. All right, what else you got, Randy?
Mutton snappers this time of year, pretty popular, refish. A lot of guys are yellowtailing. And what I find a lot of times is after you've been yellowtailing for a while and you've got your chum and you've been sitting there anchored down, there's muttons around. You don't know it because they're not up on the surface giving themselves away. But if you think about it and you drop a bait down, a lot of times you can catch that nice mutton in your chum slick that you don't even know is there. Or you can fish in some of the deeper waters, which I like to do, and drift around some live bottom or drift around outside wrecks. And braided line works really good. Live bait works great. And it's a good way to catch mutton snappers around this neck of the woods. Now, Captain Chris Trossett with Real Fly Charters in Key West, he is excellent at catching bottom fish, whether it's yellowtails, mutton snappers, it doesn't matter. And he said the mutton snapper bite down in Key West right now is really, really good. And he sent me a picture of Ivan from Contender Boats fishing with his buddies over the weekend with a bunch of muttons they caught fishing out of Key West.
That damn Ivan's cheating, man. He going down there fishing with Trossett. I'm going to have to talk to him about that. Tell me about this yellow edge grouper, bud.
So, we don't talk a lot about deep drop fish, but this one in particular, guys like to catch. It's great eating, and you find them around some of the rockier bottom out deep. 600 to 1,000 feet of water, you're going to look for these things. They don't hang out in the mud. They hang out around the harder rocky ledges and places like that. 2 to 3 hook rig, bottom rig with squid work very good. And you've got to play it where you have the current. If the current's too strong, you can't get to the bottom. If the current's too weak, you don't go anywhere. So when these guys are offshore dolphin fishing this time of year, a lot of times they'll break up the day and they'll go do it if the condition is right. We talk about conditions all the time, and this is one that when it's right and you get in an area where you can catch these things, it is a wonderful thing, and they are super, super to eat. Captain Brian Cohn on his boat, the Contagious, is no stranger to catching everything that swims in the ocean. And he sent me this picture of his angler with a yellow edge grouper they caught the other day, taking a break from catching dolphins.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Randy. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Florida Keys region. Inshore Snook fish the low rising tide on the top of the flats with a poling skiff and fish the higher parts of the rising tide along the shorelines with your bay boat. Live pin fish on a 1/4 ounce jig head has been working best for those snooks, and then yellowtails anchor in 70 to 100 feet of water, and make sure that you have moving water behind your boat. Start chumming and then use oats to get the fish up near the surface. Be patient. Use one rod at a time, Brie.
All right, Rick, coinciding with the annual Hemingway Day celebration, it's time to sign up for the Key West Marlin Tournament, July 21st through the 24th in Key West. With $50,000 in guaranteed cash prizes, registration is limited to the first 75 boats, so head on over to keywestmarlin.com to secure your spot. And Captain Ronnie Houston in the Real Legend Southwest region is on the line and has some weekend fishing spot prospects for us. So, Ronnie, let's hear it.
Well, you know what? It's always a pleasure being here. And, you know, when it comes to paddling, whether it's a kayak, a canoe, or a paddleboard, there's really no shortage of access through the whole Southwest region. But not only that, with access, once you launch, you really don't have to travel far to catch most inshore species this time of year, like the snook, the tarpon, the redfish, and the trout. Some of the locations I'm going to recommend that are currently holding fish would be Chokoloskee Island Park Marina, Chokoloskee Bay, from the Marina, working your way towards the Barren River Channel on the left-hand side. Now in the Naples area, you want to check out the Naples Landing downtown boat ramp. Working the intercoastal docks and seawalls out towards Gordon's Pass. Right now they're holding plenty of snook and a variety of juvenile tarpon, especially at night, and I strongly recommend the night bite as there's less boat traffic. In the middle of the region, Lover's Key, the eastern shoreline. As soon as you launch from there, from Carlos Pass to Hickory Pass, Matt Lachey, a little further up, the boat ramp. All you want to do is work straight across and work the shoreline and flats off to the right towards Deer Stop Key. A little further up is going to be Palms Park, Charlotte Harbor. Once you put in the boat ramp, simply go to the left, work your way towards Alligator Channel. And believe it or not, right now, the whole beach line from Marco Island to Boca Grande, variety of tarpon, plenty of snook. And I strongly recommend if you do that, you want to pick your light winds or easterly winds are recommended. Now on the inshore side, the snook. Great snook season right now, especially before the rains get here. Marco Island, Cape Romano, Coon Key to Indian Key, beaches and outer Gulf Islands. Not just the points, but also the outer faces. Now with the water being clean due to the lack of rain, which we're now starting to get, you can pinpoint the structure like deadwood, blowdowns and troughs, depressions, especially where there's mullet and hairbait. Now you also want to look in those areas where the current is flowing. That's going to be important. Now, right now with the water being clear, you will see clouds of snook. You'll see some dark shadows moving on the water. These are schools of snook that are grouped up. Once you find them, there will be several overslot-sized fish in these schools. Now, remember these areas, and once it starts raining, you're not going to be able to find those structure points anymore. Baits of choice right now are going to be the live pilchards, herring, and a variety of artificial walk-the-dog lures like the Bass Assassin 5-inch shad in white. But some lures I've been playing with and pretty impressive. The Berkeley Cutter 90 shallow, especially the black and silver in color, but then also the chartreuse shad on higher water in the trough. And I got a picture of some snook that I had caught while using the Berkeley Cutter 90, and it's really an impressive bait. The offshore side, Kingfish. Captain Mike Avenel reports there's been a great push of kings right now from Marco to Fort Myers Beach, fishing wrecks in 95 feet and beyond. Now, he tells me he is strictly concentrating on the wrecks that are full of bait to catch numbers of fish, especially those wrecks that are loaded right now with blue runners. He also says you can live chum some of these wrecks that are not loaded with bait with live pilchards and herring or cigar minnows. He strongly recommends a trace of wire to avoid the cutoff, and he tells me right now some of these wrecks right now are loaded with numbers. I got a prime example of some nice kings that were recently caught while fishing with Mike. Last species is going to be the tuna. Captain Mike Avenel also reports if the weather is moderate, depths right now from 85 to 120 feet. He's been seeing plenty of groups of tuna mixed in with the bonita on his way out. But not only that, groups of bird diving bait. So in those areas, you want to try to flatline some pilchards or cigar minnows, drifting through there maybe to pick up some scatters fish, as well as fishing the wrecks. And he also tells me some of these wrecks right now, besides the kings, they are loaded with tuna. Weather's looking good for the weekend. I got a nice picture of a prime example. Some tuna's recently caught in the last couple days. Weather's looking good. Get out and catch you some fish.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. We're going to go and take a look at the Caddy Can hot spots from the Southwest region. He says Triple Tail, Lossman's River to Lumber Key. Look for the fish floating along the dead wood, blowdowns, points, and currents, and the park boundaries markers as well. And then offshore, red groupers, Wiggins Pass to Boca Grande, fishing hard, bottom 85 to 120 feet, using cut and live baits.
All right, we're checking in with the R&R Tackle Southeast region when we come back right here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, paddle style. So stay tuned. How about that?
How about it?
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick, the Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. The IGFA, Fish for the World. Noble Air Charters, raising the bar yet again. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy, fishing for adventure. Real legends, everything you need to live life local. And Tnh Marine, troll the edge.
It's one of the most ancient forms of hide and seek known to man. And nobody knows how to play the fishing game better than the backcountry guides and offshore captains of the Florida Keys and Key West. Ready or not, here we come.
At Florida Coast Equipment, we understand you don't work banker's hours. So neither do we. You have a business to run, you have a family to feed, and you need your machine up and running. So our service team and our parts department will be there. If that means we have to stay late, we'll do it. If we have to start early, we'll do it. Because at the end of the day, you want equipment you can depend on and people you can trust, and we have a service team that will be there to service you.
Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Kick your gas into gear with StarTron.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now. Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about the extension kit that you might need for your charge system. Now let me explain a little further. You know, always in technical poling skiffs and a lot of these bay boats, your cranking battery for your big motor is not necessarily in the same place as your trolling motor batteries because we use the battery weight for ballast. So my Maverick in particular has the trolling motor batteries all the way up in the bow, where the charge is mounted inside the console, and I don't have long enough lead. So Power Pole created an extension kit for your charge, and it's really simple. All we're gonna simply do is cut the wires that are going to the trolling motor batteries, and this extension kit is easily shrink wrap the wires, and now you have the ability to have the batteries in one place and your charge system in another place. So if you have any questions about the charge, you can simply go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole tip of the week. So you know it's cool that you can put the Power Pole charge box anywhere.
Right.
You can put it down in the floor, you can put it in the front hatch, you can put it in here, and you have the ability to customize where you want to put it because of the extension kit.
That's nice. That's important.
That's it.
All right, SUPs, kayaks, canoes, the R&R Tackle Southeast region has them all, and they aren't just your average paddle craft anymore. Let's get Captain Jimbo Thomas on the line to give his 2 cents.
Hey, Bree. Hey, Rick and Dave. You know, yes, the paddle boards and kayaks, they just keep getting bigger and bigger. Now, a lot of the new ones, kayaks especially, they're equipped with electronics, rod holders, bait wells, which makes them great for both inshore and offshore fishing. Now, the biggest advantage of those paddle boards and the kayaks, especially when you're fishing inshore, they can get in some really skinny, shallow water, and they're really quiet, which makes it easy to sneak up on those spooky, shallow water fish like snook, tarpon, bonefish, and permit. Now, most of the beaches and boat ramps throughout the region, those are kayak-friendly and paddleboard-friendly ramps. And for most areas, it's only a 2 to 2.5 mile paddle to get offshore into the deep water, which is about a 45 to 60-minute paddle. And it's not uncommon for kayakers when they go offshore to catch sailfish, kingfish, mahis when they're fishing along the edge of the Gulf Stream, or groupers and snappers on the reef. And a lot of them go out there and they jig a lot with butterfly and bucktail jigs. Now, kayaks and paddleboards are also a great way to explore the Everglades or fish the urban lake and canal system for largemouth, peacock, bass, and other assorted exotic fish, which those canals are full of all kinds of exotics now. Now, staying inshore, you can use your kayak or your paddleboard to go sneak up on some permit, which they've been really good and abundant in the south end of the region. And Captain Joe Gonzalez, he's been fishing both the inside and outside flats from Soldiers Key south to Angelfish Creek, and he's been finding both cruising and tailing permit. You want to look for hard bottom flats with good moving water on both the incoming or outgoing tide. Now, a small live crab placed right in front of them, that's going to get you a bite, or you can try placing a crab pattern fly in front of them. You want to wait for the sun to come up high to get prime visibility, or if it's not really bright out, you can try working over a light colored bottom. And these permit have been in the 10 to 25 pound range. Now, our best offshore fishing has been along the edge of the Gulf Stream, where the blackfin tunas have been biting like crazy in the last few days. We've been fishing for those tunas in depths anywhere from 120 to 250 feet of water. Best baits have been live sardines, pilchards, herrings, goggle eyes. You want to fish them under the kite if you have enough wind, or you can drift or slow troll those baits. You want to use 30 to 40 pound fluoro leaders and 4.0 to 6.0 circle hooks. Now, most of the blackfins have been in the 25 to 30 pound range, and they've been biting throughout the day, but first thing in the morning and then late into the afternoon, that's when they're going to bite the best. And if you can find some pilchards to live chum with, that's going to help get them going. Now, along with the tunas in the same areas and depths have been a good amount of sailfish. Now, we've been using the same rigs and baits that we've been catching those tunas on, which is light fluoro leaders and the circle hooks, and kite fishing our sardines, goggle eyes, pilchards, and herring. And just like those tunas, the best bite has been late in the afternoon, and those live chummers will also help to get those sailfish fired up. I do have a photo here. This is one of the many sailfish that we've tagged and released in the last couple weeks.
So, Jimbo, I got a question for you. You know, the tunas, is this normal for the tunas to be swimming through this time of year?
It is. So springtime, and now we're getting into late springtime. Yes, this is what we look forward to every year. These tunas are all big ones where we do catch them throughout the year, but right now is when we catch the biggest ones. And it goes through little up and down phases, and I think we just got off that full moon last week, and they've decided to bite like, it's just been out of control.
Now
a lot of boats have been catching their limits of blackfins, which is 10 per boat.
Wow.
I believe it's 2 per person, 10 per boat. So you catch 5 or 8 or 10 of these 30-pound tunas, you got a boatload of fish.
Yeah, man. One other question quickly, is the dolphin in that same depth, or the tuna's up tight to the edge?
Well, we've been getting some dolphin along the edge. We've also been finding a few dolphin out a little deeper, but most everybody has been fishing on the edge because you just have a much better variety of fish that you're going to have a chance at catching on the edge. Sailfish, tunas, the mahis, and some kingfish even, versus if you're offshore looking for dolphin, you're only going to catch the dolphin, or most likely only going to catch the dolphin.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the R&R Southeast region. Jimbo says, get an early start on the outside flats of Biscayne Bay and fish with small crabs, crab pattern flies, and swimmer jigs for tailing bonefish and permit on the lower stages of the tide. And then offshore, he said, look for a mixed bag of sailfish, blackfin tunas, kingfish, dolphin, fishing with live baits under a kite in 100 to 300 feet of water. The late afternoon and early evening bite has been the best. You know, the Sportsman's Adventures show that's running this season right now.
Yes.
You know, we filmed it this time of year, and that's what we caught. Sailfish, tunas, kingfish, and even, I don't know, did
Mixed
we catch
bag.
a mahi? But we had a lot of good sail fishing and good tuna fishing. I remember
it's a mixed bag.
And it was rough.
It was rough. It was very rough. But I do have to say, in the spirit of paddle fishing, it is a lot of respect for stand-up paddleboard and kayak fishermen. It's not easy. Everyone can fish from a boat, but you got to have the balance. You got to have the fitness and physique, and you know it's a lot to think about. You have to be a good multitasker for sure. I would know. I would know.
You heard it right here.
Caught a few, and it wasn't even a stand-up paddleboard meant for fishing.
I know.
It was so difficult, but I did it, and I was very accomplished. All right, well, we are ready and pumped up more than ever to get paddling and catch some fish this weekend. Dave is pumped up, as you can see, not sleeping at all.
Thank you for buying me that Kubota for my yard, Dave. You're the best birthday present giver ever.
When we come back, we'll see what we're catching next week.
Your time on the water is precious. You return season after season to make unforgettable memories, fight a few fish, reconnect with friends, and recenter yourself. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters stay with Yamaha for the long run, for life. They know reliability starts here.
We are for those who know that opportunity is nothing without preparation, those who know that the right gear can make or break a day. Born out of a need for reliability, tested and proven on the Miss Brit Charter fleet. From terminal tackle to all your live bait needs, whether you're fishing for fun or looking to win a tournament, R&R Tackle has what you need to stay ready.
Next week, we're talking red. Shh, you say it.
Snappers.
Okay.
Snappers.
So make sure you tune in. And we do have to celebrate this man to my left, Captain Rick Murphy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Better blow those candles.
Happy birthday.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week, guys.
Smoke alarm.
Woo! Bah!
Happy birthday.